In this video, I'm going to tell you all about what it costs to get divorced. You will be astounded. We're also going to talk about ways to have it not be so expensive and the different methods that you can use to both ramp it up or ramp it down. Before we get started, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. We're creating a lot of great content at the Robin Grain Coaching channel, and I don't want you to miss a thing. My name's Robin Grain, and for nearly 20 years, I've been a divorce coach, a divorce mediator, a divorce lawyer, a hearing officer, and two-time divorced mom. I was shocked at what people paid for their divorces. Absolutely shocked. So we're going to talk about how you can get a divorce, if that's what you're looking to do, and not get shocked. So first of all, there's three primary methods to get divorced. There's litigation, which means you have an attorney. Whether you go to court or not, if you have an attorney, consider yourself involved in litigation. Then there's mediation. Then there's sitting down at the kitchen table and getting divorced. Obviously, number 3 is the least expensive in the short run. But in the long run, it's probably not a good idea to get absolutely no professional help. Mediation is going to be your next least expensive. And litigation, of course, is where it goes right through the roof. Basically, you're going to be paying for your kids' college tuition. So, divorce attorney fees are different in different parts of the country. I have a mediation and coaching practice right outside of DC. And for a fully contested, litigated, which means you each have attorneys, you end up going to trial, just like TV in your case, that's going to run you about $130,000 per spouse. Outrageous. If you don't go to trial, but your attorney prepares your cases if you are going to trial, because that's how they have to do things in the litigation system, you're looking, where I live and practice, in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $80,000. That's without trial. If you mediate with a firm like mine anyway, the whole entire settlement of your case is going to cost you between $5,000 and $6,000. Fees for a mediator like me, who's also an attorney, I'm also a certified divorce financial analyst, I'm $350 an hour. Should be $4, but I'm $350, at least for now. The attorneys, $350 to $550 in my area, but it's just a much more complicated process. If you sit down at the kitchen table, all it's going to cost you is time and whatever it costs you to pull the forms off the internet. Once again, not recommended. However, if you have no children, no assets, no debt, go for it. Pull the forms off the internet. There's plenty of sites that you can do that at, and you'll be fine. But if you have any retirement to divide, if you have children, if you own real estate, if you have, certainly a business, you are definitely going to need the assistance of a professional, an attorney, a mediator. Some people choose to use certified divorce financial analysts to help them get started. It's going to cost you some money. Why is litigation so expensive? First of all, it's a broken system. It's a system that, in my opinion, is designed for corporations. It wasn't designed for regular folks who have family problems. But in the 70s, when the courts got overwhelmed with divorces, they didn't change the system. They needed to, but they didn't, and we're stuck with it in every state. So why is it so expensive? One of the reasons, it's sort of weird, but it's a malpractice issues that the attorneys have. So attorneys are not, they're like sharks, we all say that. So they're suing each other for malpractice. Divorce attorneys are suing other divorce attorneys for not doing everything that they could have done for their clients. So if an attorney doesn't overturn every stone that there is to be overturned, if they don't use every legal strategy that there is to use, if they don't use every area of the law that they can use, if they don't play every game that can be played, and then their client is unhappy with the outcome, guess what? They can go hire another attorney, and if the other attorney can see ways that they could have perhaps done things better, that attorney has a problem. So you in litigation are paying to cover your attorney's rear end because that attorney is concerned about malpractice. Another reason that litigation is so expensive, all strategy, sometimes you're just trying to wear the other person out. Back in the 90s when I was a divorce litigator, before I dumped that to be a mediator because I found it unethical and immoral, if we had a client come in and say they really didn't want to, say it was a stay-at-home mom case, and the dad really didn't want to give the mom the ton of alimony that perhaps she could have gotten because maybe he was a wealthy guy, he made a lot of money, and she didn't. The strategy of the firm oftentimes was to have the dad push for lots and lots of custody, make the mom appear kind of crazy, so that he would have a better shot at getting custody. Even though that's not what really our client, the man, wanted, it was to get the mom freaked out so she would give up on her alimony demands, okay? So that is a strategy that's going to cost you a lot of money because you're going to have psychological evaluations, and nobody's really telling the truth, and when you don't tell the truth, things get really super complicated, and you need attorneys to kind of get you out of hot water when you're about to get busted for lying. So it is a very complicated strategical process. Another strategy that's oftentimes used is to just wear the other person out with paperwork. This is a strategy used all the time in corporate law. You just keep, it's called discovery, the formalized process of gathering information. And as an attorney, we used to do this. My boss had a great time with this. We would just kill people with questions and requests for documents and bringing people in for depositions, and it was just awful and very time consuming and very expensive. But sometimes the other person, the other side, the other spouse, the child's other parent, literally, would say, "I give up, what do you want?" Just to stop the craziness and the bleeding of the dollars. A third reason why litigation is so expensive, and this is sad, and sometimes attorneys can't seem to stop their clients, but a client will be looking for justice. They will feel that they have been put through hell for years in this marriage, and they finally want somebody to put their spouse in his or her place. Bad use of money and time. You're not going to get justice in the courthouse. People continue to try, and if the person that's seeking justice in the courthouse has a lot of money, the attorney might egg them on. It doesn't work. But it's pretty expensive because you're trying to prove something that probably is fairly irrelevant. And how do you prove that somebody is just a jerk? Well, you're going to have to go back years and look at all the jerky things that they did. Courts are places of evidence, though, so guess what? You're going to have evidence for every jerky thing that they did. Very expensive, very complicated, very not a good idea. Very expensive. That's one of the reasons litigation is expensive. Seeking justice. Don't do it. When do you have the option to go the less expensive route? Essentially mediation versus litigation. You have that option, and this is my opinion. Different mediators feel different ways, but I think this is the way it should be. So, if there's domestic violence, no mediation. I know in my state, Virginia, they train us all to handle domestic violence in a mediation, but they also, our ethics require us to even the playing field. So how can you possibly even the playing field if you sit down in a mediation and one person says something the other person doesn't want to hear? What are they going to go out in the parking lot and one of them is going to get the you-know-what beat out of them? No. Domestic violence, you need a lawyer. You need the protection of the court. You need a system to back you up, okay? Second situation where mediation is not appropriate, at least the type of mediation I do, which is usually with no attorneys in the room. You need to be confident that everybody's telling the truth. So if you or your spouse doesn't trust the other one to tell the truth about money, Really, it's about money, about assets. You just can't mediate. You're not going to get anywhere because the mediator has an ethical obligation to be neutral. So let's say you say to the mediator, here, look at this tax return. I think my spouse is hiding money. Can you see if there's any holes in there? And if the mediator finds a hole, if the mediator is accustomed to looking at tax returns, if the mediator finds a hole, guess what? She's going to have to say to her client, hey, where's the money? Where's the money? So you can't do that because then it becomes accusatory. So if you feel, or your spouse feels, that one of you is hiding the money, sending it offshore or whatever, spending it inappropriately and not fessing up, you need an attorney. So in terms of saving money in your divorce, you might want to consider picking your battles. You might want to consider settling with your spouse, whether you settle with, you having an attorney and him or her having an attorney, or settling in mediation. You always want to factor in the attorney's fees. You've got to factor that in. If you're fighting for $5,000 and it's going to cost you each $10 to litigate, do the math. I hope you learned something about what it costs to get divorced. I hope you learned something about how to have it not cost so much if you have the situation where you need a divorce. Before you go, please remember to hit the subscribe button below and hit the bell. We're going to be producing a lot of good videos, and I hope to see you again. Take care.